The AFC North is shaking, and what's happening in Pittsburgh isn't luck, it's destiny being built right before our eyes. While other teams are trying to figure out what went wrong, the Steelers are getting stronger, healing up, and preparing for a comeback that could completely reshape the hierarchy of the division. This team is gaining rhythm, confidence, and, most importantly, identity. That raw Pittsburgh energy is back, and when this defense plays with attitude and the offense starts to click, you already know what's coming. It's Steelers football at its finest. But before we dive into the video, make sure to drop a like to support the nation, leave a comment below with your thoughts on this point in the season, and of course, shout the chant that gives every fan chills all the way to the top of Acrisure. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Now let's talk about what's coming next. Because, my friends, something big is about to happen in Pittsburgh. And when that yellow towel starts spinning high in the air, you know what it means. Steelers Nation is ready to make history. Go Steelers! Steelers Nation, imagine this. The Baltimore Ravens, once one of the biggest threats in the AFC North, are sitting at 1-4 to start the 2025 season. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers are quietly building momentum, getting healthy at the right time, and finding their rhythm under Aaron Rodgers. For a lot of people around the league, that might sound like a surprise. But for those of us who have been paying attention, it feels like something much bigger is brewing inside this team. Something that could completely shift the balance of power in the AFC North. Let's start with what everyone's been waiting to hear. The Steelers are finally getting healthy again. Joey Porter Jr. is back on the field, and according to everything from today's practice, he says he's good to go against the Cleveland Browns this week. That's not just another player returning. That's the Meg defender of this defense, the guy who lives on an island, locking down the opposing team's top receiver. The Steelers haven't been able to play that brand of press, physical football for weeks, and now that he's back, that changes everything for the secondary. Jaylen Warren also returned to practice after sitting out the Ireland game with a knee injury. He almost played in that matchup against the Vikings, but with a full week of rest and recovery, he looks ready to split duties again with Kenny Gainwell at Acrisure Stadium. That's huge for this offense. When both of those backs are rolling, the Steelers' ground game takes on a whole different energy, one that keeps defenses honest and opens up everything for Rodgers and the passing attack.
But of course, it's not all good news. Calvin Austin III is still battling that shoulder issue, and Jalen Ramsey is nursing a mild hamstring tear. Not a full one, more of a strain, but enough to keep him sidelined for at least this week, maybe a couple more. The team is hopeful both will be ready for the Green Bay game, but for now, they're out. Another name that fans have been watching closely, Alex Highsmith. After being sidelined with an ankle injury since the Patriots game, he's back with the ones in practice. That's right, back in his starting role across from TJ Watt. And while Nick Herbig has been outstanding filling in, and fans have every reason to love what he's brought, the coaching staff is standing firm. Highsmith is their guy. He's paid like one, he's produced like one, and while Herbig won't vanish from the rotation, he's returning to that situational role behind the two stars. Still, the Steelers are likely to keep all three of them, Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig, active and rotating heavily. Don't be surprised to see all of them on the field together in pass-heavy situations. That's the kind of creative front the Steelers love to use when they want to turn up the pressure, especially against teams like Cleveland that are trying to find answers on offense. Now, speaking of veterans, Aaron Rodgers made headlines again this week, not just for his performance but for his gear. The four-time MVP has switched to a new Vichi's helmet, one that he actually invests in. For a while, he wasn't exactly happy with the design. He even called it a spaceship. But after some time getting used to it over the bye week, he's officially making the switch for the rest of the season. Maybe it's symbolic, a new helmet, a fresh look, and maybe, just maybe, another level to his play. Even Tom Brady couldn't help but notice what Rodgers has brought to Pittsburgh. During Fox's pregame coverage last Sunday, Brady praised Rodgers, calling him a surgical passer and highlighting his killer instinct and competitiveness, the very traits that once defined Brady's own dominance. Coming from the greatest quarterback of all time, that's no small compliment. And honestly, when you watch Rodgers this season, there's a sense that he's playing something close to what Brady did in his 40s, what people around the league like to call Brady ball. It's all about pocket presence, precision, timing, and efficiency. Rodgers has embraced that completely. He's getting the ball out faster than anyone in the league right now, protecting the football and letting his playmakers go to work. The Steelers lead the NFL in yards after catch. DK Metcalf sits atop that category among receivers. Jaylen Warren's been dynamic out of the backfield, and the offense as a whole feels balanced, efficient. That's the thing. This isn't the flashiest Steelers team, but it's one that's learning how to win the right way. And when you pair that with Rodgers' experience, you start to see how this could become something special. So here's the big question that everyone in Pittsburgh, and frankly, across the NFL, is asking right now. Can Aaron Rodgers actually do what Tom Brady did? Can he lead this team to a Super Bowl in his 40s, in his first season with a new franchise? Brady did it in Tampa Bay. Rodgers has the defense, the weapons, and the coach to do it in Pittsburgh. The road ahead is wide open. The Steelers sit at 3-1 while the rest of the AFC North is struggling. The Ravens are in a hole at 1-4. The Bengals are reeling. The Browns are clinging to relevance. Statistically, it's grim for Baltimore. Only 16 teams in NFL history have started 1-4 and still made the playoffs. That's just 3%, and only 3 of those ever went on to win their division. Think about that. The Ravens are already playing catch-up, and the Steelers, with a defense that's getting healthy and a quarterback who looks increasingly comfortable, are in complete control of their destiny. And this time, things feel different. Last year's collapse, that 5-game slide at the end of the season, left a scar, no question. But this roster is deeper, smarter, and healthier. There's a stability that wasn't there before. Rodgers has stabilized the offense, Mike Tomlin has full command of his locker room, and the players who matter most, Watt, Highsmith, Porter, Warren, are back when the team needs them most. Steelers Nation, I'm telling you, this is the kind of setup that leads to something big. Now the question is, can they sustain it? If the Steelers just avoid another meltdown, if they stay focused and keep executing, a home playoff game is within reach. And once you're playing postseason football in Pittsburgh, anything can happen. But I want to hear from you. Do you believe this team, led by Aaron Rodgers and guided by Mike Tomlin, has what it takes to win the AFC North and make a run at the Super Bowl? Drop your thoughts down below. What's your percentage, from 0 to 100, that the Steelers win the division this year? And here's the thing that no one outside of Pittsburgh seems to understand. This team isn't peaking yet. What we're watching right now might just be the early stages of something much bigger. When Aaron Rodgers and these receivers find complete chemistry, when the defense gets fully healthy, when Mike Tomlin has all his pieces in sync, that's when the real Steelers football begins. Let's talk about that defense for a moment, because the narrative around this unit has been quietly changing. Getting Joey Porter Jr. back is massive, but it's more than that. It's about the structure of this group finally coming together again. You could see during the early weeks of the season that the secondary wasn't as confident without Porter. They weren't pressing as aggressively, the communication wasn't as sharp, and opposing quarterbacks were getting those quick, short completions that moved the chains. Now, with Porter back, it allows Minkah Fitzpatrick to move more freely, lets the safeties disguise coverages, and gives TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith the time they need to wreak havoc. And speaking of what he's doing this season might be flying under the radar nationally, but not here. His consistency, leadership, and relentless energy continue to define the tone of this defense. He's the guy setting the standard every single week. Add Highsmith back into the mix, and suddenly that edge rush looks as dangerous as it's ever been. And that's before we even mention Nick Herbig, who's been playing with a kind of rookie fire that's impossible not to love. It's the perfect blend, the veteran dominance of Watt and Highsmith, combined with the youth and hunger of Herbig. Expect defensive coordinator Terrell Austin to get creative. You'll see more of those 3 linebacker packages on third downs, using Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig together to confuse blocking schemes and keep opposing quarterbacks guessing. It's that kind of versatility that makes this defense special, and it's one of the biggest reasons Pittsburgh is positioned to control its own destiny moving forward. Now, shifting back to the offensive side, Rodgers has been nothing short of a stabilizing force. For years, Steelers fans have wanted consistency at the quarterback position, not just talent, but command, poise, and precision. And that's exactly what Rodgers has brought. You can tell his presence has lifted the entire offense. Receivers are running cleaner routes, the line is communicating better, and the timing on quick throws, especially those RPOs and short crossers, looks sharper than ever. That's how Brady Ball wins games, not with highlight plays, but with controlled dominance. You move the ball efficiently, protect it, and make defenses pay for the smallest mistakes. Rodgers is executing that at a masterclass level. Take this stat. The Steelers are number 1 in the NFL in yards after catch. That's not by accident. It's Rodgers identifying the right reads and trusting his playmakers to finish the job. DK Metcalf has been sensational in that area, breaking tackles and turning short passes into explosive gains. Jaylen Warren's versatility as a runner and receiver adds a dynamic layer, and when you mix in Kenny Gainwell's shiftiness, this backfield has quietly become one of the most balanced in football. But perhaps the most underrated aspect of this entire run has been Mike Tomlin's leadership. You can see it in how this team responds, even after setbacks, even with injuries, even through the media noise. There's a steadiness to him that keeps the locker room focused. And if we've learned anything over the past decade, it's that that Tomlin teams know how to win ugly, how to grind, and how to thrive when everyone else counts them out. Now, while fans and analysts continue to debate whether Rodgers can lead this team to the promised land, there's something important happening in real time. The AFC North is unraveling. The Ravens, sitting at 1-4, are facing historical odds. Only 16 teams in NFL history have ever started 1-4 and still made the playoffs. That's less than 3%. And only 3 of those went on to win their division. Think about that for a second. Statistically, Baltimore is playing against history right now. Meanwhile, Cincinnati is on a 3-game skid, their offensive line looks shaky, and the Browns have fallen apart at 1-4. Suddenly, the Steelers don't just look competitive, they look like the most complete team in the division. Of course, nothing's guaranteed. Steelers fans know that better than anyone. Last season's collapse, those 5 straight losses to close things out, still stings. But here's the difference. This year's roster has experience, balance, and depth. It's not a team depending on 1 or 2 stars to carry it. It's a unit built to withstand adversity. And with Rodgers steering the ship, that kind of late-season collapse feels much less likely. There's also a quiet confidence around this team, something that wasn't there a year ago. It's in the way Rodgers addresses the media, the way the players talk about each other, and the way Tomlin speaks about accountability. You can tell they believe this isn't just another season, it's a statement year. If the Steelers reach 10 or 11 wins, which, at their current pace, feels absolutely within reach, that puts them not only in control of the AFC North but potentially in position for a deep playoff run. And with the way this defense is playing, no one's going to want to face them in January at Acrisure Stadium. That's the difference between this year and last. Last year, the Steelers were fighting to stay alive.